On today's video, we're taking a look at a 2025 update to a set of wedges that I've really enjoyed. In fact, they were in my bag last year. This is the Indi Golf Wedge, a direct-to-consumer brand, and their new wedge features blast face technology to generate optimal spin. Well, one thing I can absolutely tell you is that these things are pin seekers. And on today's video, we're gonna put it through a battery of tests here on course to see what they can do around the greens. First, let's take a closer look. All right, here's your closer look at the new blast face technology. Now, I've got the ATK version of these wedges. These are gonna be, for those of you that with a little bit of a steeper angle of attack and who take a little bit more turf. I'm actually more of a shallow player, so probably the FLX would be a little better for me, but these are the ones I was sent to test. And they should provide versatility and forgiveness with that grind because you're gonna get a little bit more bounce here with the ATK. Now there's some pretty cool technology built into these. First off, the grooves. You've got 10% deeper grooves here with these. They're also steeper and it's all about generating maximum spin. Now there's some more technology built into the Indi Golf wedges. First off, see that hosel? It's a lot shorter than your average hosel, and that's gonna allow them to move weight and mass more towards the middle of this club and a little bit more towards the toe. As you can see, there's more mass there on this very angled toe here of the club. They've also done a really good job beveling this club, so you've got a little more top line and again a little bit more mass and forgiveness there up at the top. It should help you get out of the turf really well. If we look at this from the side, another technology is scoop back technology, and what that's designed for is off-center hits. They feel a little better, but they're going to go straighter and they're going to spin more with that technology. There are a couple different shaft options for this. I've got it paired with a dynamic gold spinner, again all about maximum spin. This is a 115 gram shaft, and they've got a lambkin cross line on there. This is the gray version. Pretty nice looking package for sure. With those full face grooves and all of that new spin tech, I'm expecting we get a ton of checkup out of these. So let's go find out. All right, this test here is gonna be out of a sand bunker just to see how this wedge performs, see what kind of spin we get. It is early morning, still a little dewy on the ground. So I don't think we're gonna get extreme spin, but we're gonna take the 58 here and see if we can knock a few tight. All right, so I'm gonna open up the club face here pretty wide. How's that for a first one? Definitely in terms of direction, that was good. Didn't get to see the check because it hit the flagstick. Oh, and that one I hit way behind it. So that was a tale of two different shots there. That was the guy swinging the club. That one, a little long, but it rolled, it kept rolling. I'm gonna try to cut across it a little bit more, see if we can generate some more spin. That was a little better there. I think that's the type of shot I need to hit. Now I gotta straighten it out a little bit. That one's off. One more here. And I hit the flagstick again. So a few really good shots, a few really poor shots. All in all, at least getting out of the sand, we came out of there flying, which is nice. Let's go to the next test. All right, next test here is gonna be a very difficult shot to pull off. But with this grind and this loft of a club, the 58-degree wedge, I think we've got half a chance. We've got very little green to work with. I've got to cover a lot of bunker here, so I'm basically gonna have to hit a flop shot from the Bermuda, and this Bermuda can be really sticky. So let's see if we can hit him and stop him quick. It's really imperative I get the weight of the shot right, or else we put ourselves in an even worse position short-sided in the bunker. Nice and high, easy to get underneath of it. Decent result, to be quite honest. I wouldn't be really upset with that, but I think we can do better. That's another flagstick hit. Apparently these things like the flagstick. Oh boy. And you never know what's gonna happen when you hit a flagstick. It could bounce 20 yards away, but that one is a pretty makeable putt. That's a pretty good leave. But I wanna see how they react to the green, so let me see if I can hit grass. Hit that a little long, and it's rolling out. So a little bit of a poor shot from me there. Let's see if fourth time's a charm here. In terms of the weight of the shot, I think I nailed it there. That's what I've been looking for. So again, very versatile club. There's a lot you can do around the greens with it. I like the grind, and I like having the full face groove just to give myself a little bit more feeling that I can hit it different places on the club. Oftentimes I chip a little bit more toe side around the greens, and having the grooves there is going to just give me a little extra spin that I probably don't deserve. All right, what I'm gonna do here is stand in the fairway. We're gonna take some full shots. This is the full shot test. I'm gonna go 50-degree wedge. We're 90 yards out here. We're gonna see if I can hit them low and penetrating and see what kind of check we get out of the 50-degree here. All right, that pin's on a shelf as well, so I've got to land this properly on the right level. Wow, almost hit another pin there, but actually that one fell off the green, so shot 2. Might have pinched that one a little better, but is it enough distance? Got some spin there. All right, shot 3. Ooh. I think that's going to be pretty good. Bite. Oh! Those were 3, I thought, really good shots for distance, but we just weren't getting the bite. Last one. All right, so what I saw there and what Sean saw here, our cameraman, up at the top of this green is we just weren't quite getting the grab that I expected, honestly. I hit my distance, especially that first shot, almost hit the pin, but we got a little extra rollout on that 50-degree wedge. These ones that kind of hit into the grade of the hill, they stopped pretty well, but we got to continue to test here in terms of spin. I don't think it was extreme, at least not what I was expecting in terms of spin, but let's continue to test. All right, so with that 50-degree wedge, I thought it did okay, but I expected a little bit more. So we're gonna see if the 58 will give us a little bit more spin. It should, theoretically, but we're gonna hit some 70-yard shots here and see if we can get maximum checkup with this. Another flag stick. That's ridiculous. We can't see the spin though when they hit the flag, so I gotta keep going here, but these clubs have like a freaking bullseye. It's like a Patriot missile or something. Now, obviously we hit another flag there, which is awesome, but more so than anything, if you can see this line of balls, I'm able to really dial in not only distance with these, but really just direction, more so than pretty much any other wedges I've ever tried. So I thought spin there was a little bit better for sure than what we saw with the 50-degree wedge. We didn't see anything really rip back or anything like that, but ample spin, more so than that, just great control and direction. That's really nice to see. Let's move on to the next test. On this test, we're gonna go for a testy little shot around the greens. One where I've really got to control distance. I'm gonna go 58-degree wedge. One where I can't take a real big backswing. And again, I just want to see if we can get these to hit and mostly stop. I don't mind a little bit of rollout, but I'd like to see some check out of this one, especially being up slope here. We should be able to get a lot of groove onto these balls. Let's see what happens. Well, the more I use this wedge, I can start to dial in the distance. But again, I think from that lie, a fair result in terms of spin, especially these two, you know, seem to check out pretty well. But a couple of the other one, especially this one, rolled out a lot more than what I would have expected. Now, one thing I'm seeing with these wider grooves is that they do hold dirt a lot easier as well. So you're gonna wanna have a nice groove brush with you to make sure that you clean these very, very well in between shots. All right, I got 58-degree wedge in hand. We're gonna try to hit some nippy ones and really get this to stop close to the hole. Decent start. I'm gonna try to put a little more speed on this though, because I really wanna see a grab. Hit that a little too high. Not a terrible result, but not exactly the swing I wanted to put on it. There we go. Really wanted to fly that one at it. And last but not least, let's see if we can hole one. Not too bad. So my contact there wasn't super consistent, but that is the one thing about having this full face groove on here, is that you're gonna still get the most out of it even when you hit it a little bit closer to the toe. And that's also one of the reasons they've actually moved that weight like we spoke about, so that you've got more mass towards the toe and a little bit higher up on the club face, again, to forgive some of those shots that just aren't perfect. So all in all, pretty good results. 4 out of 6 of these really good. And a couple of those we got to really check and grab. I'm just a player that doesn't generate a ton of spin to begin with, but pretty happy with the result there. All right, on this next test is we're gonna try the bump and run. I've got the 54-degree wedge. We're gonna fly it a little bit further. I'm gonna try to hit a landing spot that's like 8 to 10 yards in front of this hole, and hopefully it'll roll out beautifully and very close. And we'll hit this one from about 20 yards out. All right, hit that with a little too much pace, and this shot's not gonna get quite as much grab. We're relying on the rollout, so let's see if we can get the distance dialed in. That's a little better and a very good result. Good little bit of grab there on that second bounce. It held it up a little bit, but it's nice to see the spin. Hit my landing spot perfectly there. And that's definitely pin high, although I just need to be a little bit further right of that pin. Didn't quite hit my landing spot there. I hit the fringe, and we got one more. So distance control really nice there on the bump and run. 4 out of 6 of these was, again, pretty good. This one hit the fringe, and the first one I just kind of blasted, but once you get the feel of these, I think you can really start to dial in your distances. Very consistent wedge from what I can see. All right, wrapping up, final thoughts here on the Indi wedges. Do they live up to the hype? Kind of, I'd say kind of. Now, from the fairways, I thought these struggled just a little bit getting the right amount of grab, and especially as conditions dried up, I expected them to get a little bit more spin on them. I thought I did a good job, but honestly, I expected a little bit more. Now, in terms of control, this is where they shine brightly. I have never hit that many pins, and I've never seen such a dispersion in terms of direction of my shots of anything close to these, to be quite honest. They did a great job. I love the full face groove. I love that these look very forgiving down at address, but still a player is going to enjoy these, especially if you opt for that other grind. I think you're gonna get a lot out of these, and there's just a lot you can do control-wise around the greens with them. So excellent job, really solid product here from Indi Golf in 2025. Now the price is gonna be up there. This is not going to be the budget price, but you are getting a lot of technology for the money, and I think they compete with all the big OEMs as well. Hope you enjoyed this review as much as I had making it. I'll catch you back here next time on another edition of Let's Play Through.